Transportation infrastructure, and I was part of the task force this past summer when we were looking at a lot of opportunities, or in all honesty, it boiled down to what we need. Two of the biggest needs that we have looming coming down the pike, and we know it's coming, is the transfer with Act 44 with the turnpike issue, as well as the transfer in trying to get PSP out of the motor licensing fund. Those are two issues that we have that we know we have coming down the pike. One of the big issues that when we were talking about it, we came up with some solutions looking for different ideas, and you mentioned a minute ago that you're open to the ideas, but my concern is the fact that we are in some case, for one of them, 3 years out with 2022 looming, and the governor's spending $2 billion more dollars, none of which are going to fixing this problem. So we have $2 billion more in spending on different items within the budget, and we know we have this bill coming due. So my question to you as a secretary is, what do you see us having to do in order to make up this gap? You said you supported a couple of the recommendations, and that's fine. Are there specifics? Because I don't feel that the governor is looking to fixing this infrastructure issue, because 3 years from now, it'll be somebody else's problem. And all of a sudden, we'll run into a cliff. How can we make sure that we're not running into that cliff, and 3 years from now, all of a sudden saying, how are we coming up with $450 million?
So I agree with you. It's an urgent matter. We need to address it. And one of the things we are trying to do at the Department of Transportation is really be very savvy about how we're spending the money. There's been some changes in financial guidance, as you may have heard. We actually put an asset management program together for our highways and bridges. We're following the asset management to address the asset and actually spend the money such that it's more focused on the preservation, get more out of the money that we're spending, more life out of our assets. But because of that, some of the funding has been shifted to the assets that we haven't spending as much money, right? So we're mindful of that. At the same time, we're being very savvy with the way we're spending our maintenance dollars. We try to address some of the low volumes with low-cost maintenance solutions. We are looking into the cycles of the low-volume roads. We're looking into how we actually can use some of the maintenance dollars on non-interstate highways to extend the life of them. At the end of the day, you're absolutely right. We need more money to put it into highway infrastructure, to put it into transit infrastructure. And that's why we need to look into some of the options that actually is being proposed. I have to tell you, I did talk to the governor about a lot of these ideas. The governor is in full support of rolling out a new program for funding transportation. So, but I think he wants to work with us to propose some solutions to him, and we can jointly review some of those options and make a decision. But he's completely in support of new fundings for transportation.
And I appreciate that, and I apologize for the time, and I don't want to cut you off, but it's just more a matter of respecting the idea that he's supportive, but he didn't put anything in his budget. And that's the plan and the roadmap that we use in order to recognizing how we're fiscally going down the next 3 years, and knowing that we have this looming gap. So him being supportive is one thing, but I was disappointed that there wasn't a plan in the budget to understand that we need to facilitate this. We had proposed possibly diverting dollars to make sure that we don't see this cliff. That's not in the budget. And so the ability for us to feel confident that we're not going to run into that cliff, because we can talk about it, and we all know government, we're good at talking about things and everything else, but the action plan that the governor put forward did not include taking care of that cliff and recognizing that it's coming. So that's my concern, because we will have it and we have to pay this bill, as well as the idea of shifting PSP out of the motor licensing fund, which is another huge gap.
So if I may answer that question, the governor is very passionate about Restore PA. And whether you agree or disagree on how we raise the money, where the money is going to be spent, we all agree it's the right place to spend it. So that I have to put this out there that he's very passionate about Restore PA. The other thing I wanted to mention is he actually proposed something on PSP, state police, and how to be funded from a different source rather than transportation. So he is looking into some of the options, but again, he's counting on us collaboratively to work and come up with some solutions.
Well, and I would just say that Restore PA, going out there for a bond that size, while not taking a look at internally where we can get dollars to make that shift, I think is the wrong way to go. We can't make our future being paying for the mistakes that we've made in the past with transferring of funds. So thank you very much for the consideration and for willingness to work. Thanks.